Good afternoon, everyone. This is Adela Flores Bertrand. Before we get started, let's make sure that you have some of the following documents that Steve sent to you. In the last, at the last training that we had, you got the Put Reading First document, and it's also going to be helpful if you have the Common Core State Standards with you. If not, we sent you a copy, a two-page copy of the foundational reading part, which is what we're going to be talking about today.
Hey everybody, can you just do, this is Steve Dunlap, sorry, I just want to make sure that you all can hear us. Would you do me a favor, and if you can hear us, go ahead and there should be a little hand you can raise there. If you want to just click on that and raise your hand, let us know that you're in the room, that would be great. Okay, I can see Robin, thank you. Robin's the only one that can hear me. That's not a good thing. Okay, so if you can't find the hand, there's also a chat box and a question box that's a little bit farther down. If you want to find that, you can click that. Okay, Mary, I see you raising your hand. Thank you so much. If you have any questions or if you want to put anything in the chat box, you're more than welcome to do that. Norma, I can see your hand. Thank you. Just go ahead and do that. We're going to leave your microphones or your phones on mute for right now. If you don't want to put something in the question box and you would like to ask a question later, after Adela's all done, we'll go ahead and unmute any of your lines and you can go ahead and ask questions live. But I'm going to turn it back over to Adela now, and she'll continue with the presentation. Thanks, guys.
Okay, let's look at the agenda, which is on the next page. Okay. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to review the Common Core standards that we've talked about in the past. We are also going to talk about foundational reading skills. We are going to talk about the commitment that from RUSD, compare the research in Put Reading First to foundational reading. And then we're also going to delve in the foundational reading standards and look at what's new and what's different. Number 6, there's a page at the end where you can reflect on what we talked about today, and you can participate with your questions. And at the end, we will be answering those questions for you. Okay, let's skip for this page and let's talk about this page right now. The 5 areas of reading instruction, as you all know, are included in the Put Reading First document. Okay, that was published by, that was put together by the National Reading Panel. Okay, this document represents one of RUSD commitments, which is that all children need to learn how to read proficiently by 3rd grade. We're going to be talking about the areas of reading instruction in Put Reading First. Okay, going back to the document that we have here, this is an overview of Common Core standards for English language arts and literacy in history, social studies, science, and technical subjects. Okay, we can look at the strand. We got the reading strand. You have 10 anchor standards for that: writing, speaking, and language. Within reading, we have the substrands, which is literature and informational text. Here, key ideas and details, craft, and structure, and all the others right here, these in blue, are, of course, your Common Core anchor standards. We're going to be talking today about foundational reading, okay, which is also a substrand of reading. And then on the other side, you have the other strands for writing, text types and purposes, production and distribution, research and presentation, range of writing. One of the things that we need to keep in mind that for 6th grade, there is writing for literacy in history, science, social studies, and technical subjects. Okay, for speaking and listening, we have comprehension and collaboration, presentation of knowledge and ideas. And for language, we find conventions, knowledge of language, and vocabulary acquisition, acquiring vocabulary and using it. Okay. Go to the next one. The National Reading Panel, 5 pillars of reading, are the foundation for our district commitment to reading by 3rd grade. The areas of reading reading instruction are the following: phonemic awareness, the 5 pillars of reading instruction, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and text comprehension. Phonemic awareness, as we all know, is understanding that sounds of spoken language work together to make words. Phonics, on the other hand, is understanding that there is a relationship between phonemes, meaning the sounds, and the letters, and that represent those sounds in writing. Okay. We're going to look at some of these right now more in depth when we go into foundational reading skills. Now, foundational reading skills focus on the development of student understanding and the working knowledge of the 4 key areas of reading instruction. Print concepts, which is understanding that print represents and how print represents and what it represents and how it works. Phonological awareness. Phonological awareness is a broader view of phonics. What it is it involves orally working with sentences, words, rhymes, syllables, and sounds. You can find a lot more in-depth information of this in the Put Reading First research document. Phonics and word recognition associates the sounds of words to spelling, and it's applied to phonics and word identification. Fluency means being able to read accurately, quickly, effortlessly, and with appropriate expression and meaning. Now, when we look at foundational skills, we have to think about the connection to how children can become proficient readers. Foundational skills focuses on developing students' understanding and working knowledge of the following the areas that we just mentioned right now: print concepts, phonological awareness. Phonological awareness, you have to think about this, it's a much broader view of phonology. It's the umbrella. Phonemic awareness is an area within phonological awareness. You also, in all of this information that I'm talking to you about, you can find it in Put Reading First, by the way. That's why I wanted you to have that document with you. Now, the Common Core foundational skills are the foundation for the entire K-12 pathway, because as we all know, without the ability to read well, students will have difficulty comprehending the increasingly more rigorous text and vocabulary and language in the K-12 Common Core standards. And that is something that we are all aware of. Okay, and then I'm just highlighting these for you. All of this, again, you will find at Put Reading First. Differences in foundational reading. One of the main differences that you will find is that vocabulary is found in language, not in the foundational reading skills, which is, now when you look at the Common Core, the Language Arts, California Language Arts Standards, you will find language within foundational skills. Text comprehension is found in informational and literary reading. Okay, so those are the 2 main differences. Again, vocabulary found in language, and text comprehension found in informational and literary reading. So those are the 2 main differences in foundational reading. The key design for foundational reading. Let's think of these standards, how these standards are directed toward fostering students' understanding and working knowledge of concepts of print, the alphabetical principle, and other basic conventions of English. These foundational skills are not an end in and of themselves. Rather, they are necessary and important components of an effective comprehensive reading program, a program that is designed to develop proficient readers with the capacity to comprehend text across a range of types and disciplines. Okay, instruction, and this is something that we do in classrooms. Every day I see that we differentiate instruction. So the same thing with Common Core standards, and foundational reading in particular. Instruction needs to be differentiated. Good readers, of course, as we know, they will need much less practice with phonics, with phonemic awareness, with vocabulary, with text comprehension than struggling readers. The point is to teach students what they need to learn and not what they already know. And the point is to discern when a particular child activity needs more attention or not. One of the beauties of Common Core is that as students are developing foundational skills, meaning learning how to read, they are also developing strong comprehension and vocabulary skills by listening to and reading stories in informational and literary text. Thus, Common Core standards make a stronger approach to reading. In order to properly scaffold reading, foundational skills must be firmly taught. Without foundational skills in place, just like I mentioned before, students will have difficulty comprehending the increasingly more rigorous text and vocabulary. And students begin working with comprehension and vocabulary through listening to complex text as they are learning to read. When you look at the Common Core reading standards on literature and informational text, you will see that the very first standard talks about reading in depth. Students, the first 9 standards, as a matter of fact, talk about reading complex text. Okay, so it all orchestrates together, foundational reading plus the Common Core standards in reading for literature and for informational text. Let's talk about some of the areas outlined in foundational reading skills. Print concepts. Okay, children need to understand the necessary foundational skills that facilitate learning to read and write at an independent level. We're talking about understanding that print, not the picture, tells the story. And it also, print concepts includes directionality, differences between letter, words, and sentences, voice, print matching, and punctuation. Print concepts is for K1 students. And now let's look at the standards so that we can see what changes we have in this area. Okay, for print concepts in kindergarten. In kindergarten, Common Core does not address one of the standards that is currently addressed in the California Language Arts Standards, which is to distinguish letters from words. You will not find that in kindergarten. One of the changes in first grade, it's not really a change in first grade, but what it is that Common Core state standards, they explicitly talk about recognizing and distinguishing features of a sentence, first word in a sentence, capitalizing, and ending punctuation. So there's more emphasis in this particular standard. So no change in print concepts. K1, print concepts, no change. Now looking at phonological awareness, again, which is the bigger view of phonology, the umbrella that covers everything, as Andy says it, the umbrella that involves working with sentences, words, rhyme, syllables, and sounds. Phonological awareness is the ability to identify different sounds and then to connect those sounds to letters of the alphabet, which is the key to learning how to read well. The objective is for students to be able to manipulate words, word parts, and sounds. Here we're talking about onset rhymes, and other things. Now, the difference here between phonological awareness, let's go back to phonemic awareness, which is the understanding that the sounds of spoken language work together to make words. Phonemic awareness falls under the phonological awareness umbrella. In other words, it's one type of phonological awareness. Now let's look at some of the changes in the Common Core standards. Okay, for kindergarten. In kindergarten, 2B, let's see, 2B specifically addresses finger spelling. I didn't highlight that for you, but it's just a count, pronounce, blend, and segment sounds is basically finger spelling. So it's just outlined in Common Core. And if you look at Standard 2B, which talks about blending and segmenting onsets and rhymes of single-syllable spoken words, that's an area of phonological awareness that was not included in the previous language arts standards. Okay. Now for first grade, we really don't, let's go back to this one here. We really don't have many changes. Actually, we don't have any changes in phonological awareness. Now, when you look at onset rhymes, why is it that onset rhymes are included? Well, onset rhymes help children recognize common chunks within words. What this does is it helps students decode new words. If you want more information on onset rhymes, you can look at Put Reading First pamphlet, and you will find that information on pages 2 and 3. Okay. Now for phonics and word recognition. Okay. Phonics instruction teaches students the association between sounds of the language and written symbols. The written symbols are a visual representation of speech sounds that we use to communicate. The application of phonics leads to word recognition. Now, predictable relationship between phonemes or spoken sounds and graphemes, meaning letters, representing those sounds in writing is basically what phonics is, different than phonemic awareness. In phonics and word recognitions, one of the biggest changes that we have in kindergarten is that students will not only learn short sounds, but also long sounds. Now, look at the footnote at the bottom. Okay, identify which letters represent 5 major vowels and know the long and short sounds of each vowel. Now, more complex long vowel graphemes are targeted in grade 1. So we're talking here in for kindergarten, it's including long vowel sounds. However, we're talking about within the 3 ways of having a long vowel, we're looking at the simplest one, the easiest one, which is open syllable. So we're talking about teaching students open syllable words such as me, be, so, I, go. That's the way we're going to be targeting it. Now for first grade, one of the if we look at D and E, standard D and E are not addressed in the California Language Arts Standards. Okay, so that's new for Common Core. And the next change that we see for phonics and word recognition in second grade is that art control is taught in second grade instead of first grade. Okay, so those are the 3 major changes that the Common Core State Standard the foundational reading skills in Common Core have for phonics and word recognition. Okay, for grades 3rd, 4th, 5th, let's talk about those right now. For 3rd grade, 3D, okay, 3D is a standard that is found in under written and oral conventions, and Common Core has it under phonics and word recognition. For 4th grade, we're talking about morphology, teaching morphology roots, and all the different multisyllabic words in context and out of context. In 4th grade, this right here, 3A, is a 3rd grade standard for California Language Arts, the current California Language Arts standards. And the same thing is in 5th grade. It's a 3rd grade standard, but now these they become 4th and 5th grade standards. Excuse me. Fluency. Fluency is the ability to read, or access words accurately and quickly. Fluency provides a bridge between word recognition and comprehension. Fluent readers read aloud without effort and expression. Excuse me. I need to drink some water. I'm sorry about that. Choking a little bit here. Now, repeated and monitored oral reading improves reading fluency and the overall reading achievement. Monitoring students' progress in reading fluency is the key for that. And this information, I pulled it out right out of Put Reading First. Now, Common Core looks at fluency in a more deeper way, and let me tell you why. The terms fluency and automaticity, you will find those terms usually intertwined by people, but they're not the same. Automaticity, when we say automaticity, we're talking about the accuracy. We're talking about the accuracy and instant word recognition. But automaticity does not include prosody, which is the ability to read with phrasing, with expression, and with intonation. Fluency includes all of these. It includes rate, accuracy, and prosody. Reading fluently is the ability to read quickly, accurately, and with prosody. Common Core puts a lot more emphasis in the sense that we are not looking only at the rate aspect of fluency, but also at the prosody and the accuracy. Now let's look at some of the changes that you're going to find in fluency. For kindergarten, look at this. Starting in kindergarten, Standard 4, which deals with fluency, kindergartners are expected to read emergent reader texts with purpose and understanding. Look at those two words, reading with purpose and understanding. That's one of the major focuses of Common Core standards from the beginning, starting in kindergarten. In first grade, we're focusing again in accuracy, but also we're talking about comprehension. In other words, Common Core places a very strong emphasis in reading with accuracy, which of course leads to reading comprehension. Now, another point that I wanted to make here, same thing, reading with purpose and understanding. Reading with purpose and understanding, reading grade level text with purpose and understanding is another key component of Common Core state standards. So Common Core state standards implications on fluency, they remain the same, but yet they pay more emphasis to accuracy, not just the rate. They specifically link fluency to supporting comprehension. Okay, and students are expected to read with purpose and understanding. Those are the main differences that we find in Common Core state standards. Now, looking at 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, again, reading grade level text with a purpose and understanding is included in all grade levels to create a robust foundation. Common Core state standards have a deeper look at fluency with comprehension as a goal. Okay, same thing you will see across the grade levels, reading with purpose and understanding, and use context to confirm or self-correct word recognition and understanding, rereading if necessary. Okay, so self-correction, going back to the text-based evidence is starting with foundational reading. Is one of the main goals for Common Core state standards. Now, what does this mean? And it's pretty much the same thing that we're doing right now, the teacher being the expert. Teachers must have a better understanding of the English language. That's one of the things that we're expected to have. They must know what precedes and follow the scope and sequence of phonics and spelling instruction at their grade level in order to differentiate instruction. Now, notice that fluency, you see fluency from K all the way to 5th grade. You see phonics from K all the way to 5th grade, and we do that right now. Yet Common Core standards put emphasis on that because we all know that older students still need to engage in the study of words, morphemes, derivational suffixes, and so on. Okay. What are some of the things where you can get some information beyond what we have here? Appendix A, pages 17 to 22, has more information about phonics, morphology, and spelling instruction. Put Reading First has a wealth of knowledge, of research-based knowledge about early literacy instruction. We're also constantly updating our district website, K6 ELA Haiku site, with research-based information. As many of you know, Judy Furman's foundational reading course has a wealth of knowledge on early literacy instruction. And so there are many resources out there for you to have access to. Okay, the last thing I have here for you is a reflection page. Let's think about 3 new concepts that will impact instruction. We're talking about foundational reading instruction right now. 2 concepts that are similar to your current instruction, and 1 topic that might require additional professional development. An area that you see is a little bit of its weakness, an area that you see where you will need more information. So I'm going to give you some time right now to answer some of these questions. And you can type your questions here on the chat box.
Hey everybody, this is Steve Dunlap again. I know you guys are thinking about these questions. If you would like to, instead of write these in the chat box or in the question box, if you'd like to do it through the phone or through your computer, however you're accessing that. Right now we have you on mute, but if you'd like, if you just click the raise your hand button, we can go ahead and unmute you. The reason we don't unmute everybody at the same time is because of background noise and the feedback, and it can get a little out of control. But if you'd rather respond or even if you just have some questions that you'd like to ask, use that raise your hand button and we'll go ahead and unmute your mic. Okay, Suzanne, I went ahead and you can go ahead and ask your question, Mike.
Hi, I missed the about first few minutes of the presentation. Is this available to us, this PowerPoint here that we're looking at?
Yeah, the PowerPoint is going to be available in PDF, and then we're also going to be recorded, so you'll be able to access it later time. So if you missed a part of it, you can watch it later.
Okay, well, this one here is absolutely perfect for what the preschool. It shows exactly what they're going to need in kindergarten, and so this is perfect for what I need for my staff and also for the preschool staff.
The Put Reading First document has a lot of information for preschool, kindergarten, all the way to 3rd grade, as far as the 5 to 13. And we have both. I'm also going to add foundational reading on the high.
Hey, Norma, I just saw your question. You want to look back at a few slides. We haven't emailed the PowerPoint to you yet. We're going to send out a PDF copy of it, and then also we'll be putting it up on the Haiku site. If you want, we can go back and look at those slides right now if you had a question about them. So you can either, if you want to just type what slides you want to look at, or if you want me to unmute your mic, I can do that as well. Just let me know.
Okay. Norma, the question that Norma has is, the biggest thing is, what message do we give 3rd through 6th grade teachers when it comes to reading foundations? Okay, the biggest message to them is that print concepts, of course, and phonological awareness are only K1. Now, phonics and word recognition, as well as fluency, are taught K to 5th grade, K5th. Now, vocabulary is K-12, which is also a foundational reading skill. Okay, so all the other foundational reading skills are taught K-12, but print concepts and phonological awareness are two that are taught K first. When you mean the foundational reading piece that is always looked for primary, are you talking about the foundational piece such as phonemic awareness instruction? Is that what you're talking about, or phonics instruction, Norma?
Norma, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you also. You can just ask the question instead of typing it. Okay, you're live, Norma.
I just basically want to know, because it's foundational, that word foundational, that the upper grade teachers think it's a primary thing.
And it's not. And you're right, Norma. And that's one of the main reasons when you look at the Common Core standards and you see phonics and word recognition K all the way to 5th grade. Same thing as fluency. And you know, I think that we're getting very good at testing fluency, but certain aspects of fluency sometimes we tend to overlook them. Okay, so. The bottom line to that, Norma, is that foundational reading skills are taught K 5th grade. But if a child is in 6th grade and he lacks phonics, he's lacking phonics instruction, then of course as a teacher you will do that. You will assess the child and see what the weaknesses are and target those weaknesses. So, one of the main things is look at the standards and see the foundational reading skills are K-5. And as a teacher, if I have a 6th grader who lacks any of the foundational skills, I will take the time to teach those.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, Norma, I'll go ahead and mute you again. Thank you for your question. Okay, so were there any more questions? Adela and I are here to answer any of the questions you might have from the PowerPoint or from the conversation that we've had today. If you would like to, you can, again, go ahead and put those in the question box by typing those. Or, again, we can just unmute you. It's a lot easier to do that. Just go ahead and do the raise your hand feature, and we'll unmute your mic if you have any questions about the presentation today. Okay, so we're not seeing any questions either in the chat box or with hands. So Adela is done with the presentation. If you would like to go ahead and exit, you're more than welcome to do that. We'll also stay on for a few more minutes in case you do have any questions that come up. We will be putting all the documents that were used today up on the Haiku site for you to access. The other thing is when you leave the webinar, once you close it out, it's going to ask you, it's going to give you the option for feedback, a button that says feedback. If you click that, that's just like the evaluation that we do at the end of a face-to-face session normally. It's just going to take you to those same questions. If you would just quickly type in that for us, we'd appreciate it. So we'll call this the technical end to our webinar. Again, we're going to stick around for a few minutes live if you have any questions. Again, you can raise your hand and we'll go ahead and unmute your mic, or if you'd like to type a question in the chat box, we can also answer those as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everyone, and we'll be looking forward to reading your comments. Thank you.